Okay.
So it takes people a bit to start coming on. That's the good thing when you watch the replay. You're already on. It's already started. Okay, so just saying hi. This is actually my first time back on live stream since the last summit call that I did. I'm here. I'm back. I'm here with a guest from the summit, Chaya Baker, a good friend as well. She's a healer. We're going to get into a lively conversation. So feel free to ask your questions as well, and we will have also a mini training in energy healing. And it's just going to be a little taste. But when it comes to these things, a little taste sometimes it can truly be life changing. You never know what it's going to take to heal something, whether it's sorry about that, emotionally or any other way. So okay, so let me just put this on mute so it doesn't interrupt us. Yeah. Okay, so let's start. I just want to start by talking about, and we're both sitting here in Israel, in different parts of Israel, and that's very much on my mind. Very much on my mind is what's happening in the world, what's maybe going to happen. Not that we know, but where it's going to happen. And like for me personally, I get very affected. I can be in the best, like I can really be in my zone. And then when I start thinking, like for example, we were talking about going to the US to visit our family, thinking about the end of May. And I do have a lot going on here. So the timing isn't good and we're going to push it off. But when I was thinking about it, I'm like asking myself, is it going to be stable? Like, am I going to go into a chaotic situation, a stable situation? Should I wait? Is it going to be more stable later? Going to be less? And that's not such a good way to live, because we don't know, we can't predict, and we don't want to be, we want to be anyway constantly thinking about how to use our spiritual and other powers to shift things for the good. That's how I think of it anyway. But also, we're in a new situation. I remember interviewing Donna Eden years ago, the healer Donna Eden, and it was quite a few years ago. I interviewed her several times, but the question that came up in this interview that I think about often is people were worried then it was like a kind of a new thing that everybody had cell phones and that there was EMFs, the consciousness of the radiation was really coming up at that time, and people were scared. So I'll never forget, I asked her, I used to get the chat and then I would ask the speaker, I still do that sometimes, the questions that the audience is asking. And somebody asked, like, what do we protect ourselves from EMFs? And it was really interesting what she said.
What did she say? I'm so curious.
Yes, she said, we're not going to be able to protect ourselves. We're not going to stop it. It is what it is, and what has to happen and what will happen, because what does happen with humans when there's a new situation, a new input, the system will adapt. She said our energy system is going to have to adapt, and it will adapt so that we'll be able to handle these things without being, whatever the effect is that happens with EMFs. So I think it's got to be the same. I'm just throwing this out here for you, Chaya, everybody's listening. Like, it seems to me that there is going to be, and there already is being, and I think this is really the topic of this live, there is being some kind of shift between our stuck state as humans, where we can predict the future. It's like the life happens in cycles, and what's going to happen too much.
Right,
even though there's always that surprise factor. That's part of living, that we are created vulnerable. But now it's not like that. Now it's like I don't have to even describe it, but if history repeated in cycles that maybe got more expanded, like a spiral, now we've spun off somewhere, or the spiral is so big that we're in completely unknown territory. That's probably more like what's happening. So we can't predict. We don't know. And we're being psyoped like crazy. And there are prophecies about this also. There's one of the prophecies from a text called the Al Kuchimoni. that the Rebbe used to talk about it a lot. It's I won't go into the whole thing, but one of the things it says is that the Jewish people will start to say, "Where can we come and go? Where can we come and go?" Which I find myself saying all the time. Should I be in America? Should I be in Italy? Why is my family all in one place? And I'm sure, obviously I'm not the only one, and obviously the Jews are not the only ones. Anyway, so that's what I want to throw out, I guess, to everybody. Like, what is the shift? It's like we can till the end of the universe, we can talk about, what's been happening politically and how we were had and how we were brainwashed and why that happened. Actually, I would like to talk about that too. If you're willing to go there, like, how is it that, what are the people, we're all like loaded with, like somebody said recently, I heard somebody say, if you're not loaded, you can't be triggered. So we're all loaded.
Yeah,
so
that's true. I want to talk about that.
So we can easily be triggered, and that's been used against us heavily. But and it's at the end of the day, everything is coming from above, and we are living through prophecy. So how do we put all of this together? And this is probably beyond the scope of one live, but I want to focus there, Chaya, and everybody. Feel free to share in the chat. I love to hear from you. Mad Hippies Life, hello. Love to hear more about the prophecies. Yeah, if you guys want that, we'll be able to do that.
Hey, I can't see the chat myself. How do I bring it up?
You have to click on the chat button. If your screen looks like mine, it's up on the top on the right-hand side. It says chat, captions, graphics. See it?
I don't see any controls.
This is Chaya's first time.
I'm first time on this technology.
I'm experienced. I've been doing this for 2 or 3 weeks now. I'm like a pro.
I can't. I wish
I can read. If you don't find it, I can read things to you. And
yeah, please. That would be great.
Yeah. So it's much easier, actually. It's much easier and more productive also to speak like we're in a global conversation, right? So if we're just talking to the who knows who,
right,
then it's a lot less targeted and interesting and effective and useful than if people are participating. But anyway, so I guess what I want to put on the table is a few things. I mean, first of all, we're going to talk about healing in general and what it is and how to do it, and we'll experience a little bit of that. But and I don't want to forget to tell you, but the Chai is opening a new program on the 30th of April. 30th of April, is that right?
On Sunday.
Don't let me forget to talk about that at the end, because that's she had over 100 people last time and like rave reviews, and it's really worth it. It's a huge assist, but we're not going there yet. So
and this is much deeper. We're going much deeper than last time because this is always evolving. And
hey, Tom, good to see you. Boker Tov. Yeah. So, okay. So basically, how is it that people are so easy to brainwash? And I want to say, even, I don't know if it's fair to say this, but it feels true that in general, is obviously not each person is an individual, but in general, as a community, it seems like the people of Israel have been exceptionally easy to brainwash and control.
For a different reason, I'd say, but not more than any other people. But
it seems like, but I want to go there. I just want to put a few things on the table, and then of course, we'll open the dialogue, and also with Entity Kingdom. Hello, good to see you. So anyway, how come people in general are so easy to brainwash? I think healing helps eliminate those triggers that allow us to see and flow freely. And also the other thing is, I just want to point out that all of this is for our good. There are two more things I want to say. One, all of this is for there's an overriding orchestrating force called Source, Creator, God, Divine Consciousness, whatever, that at the end of the day, underneath it all of this is foreseen. There are different timelines. Our consciousness does matter. It does impact things heavily, intensely, lightly, whatever. But, we have to know that. And if we forget that, we're in deep trouble. Because that is the ultimate awakening, that we awaken to the fact that there's a source. Our souls are here with a mission. We're all part of it. I have access to the supernatural, which is, again, when I say healing, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Access to what we consider supernatural. And then the other thing is about in general, that I just want to put on the table, and then I'll stop the monologue. But the idea of this, like I quoted Donna Eden, that we are here shifting something about the way our systems process reality, so that we're upgrading that, so that we are, so that we're not susceptible. Like right now, it seems like we've been shown so much vulnerability, as human beings, vulnerability in our relationships. So many people are estranged from their families, vulnerability to brainwashing, as I call it, to psyoping, vulnerability to to little tiny things, whatever they all are called, virus, or vulnerability toward the so-called remedies, which, have shown themselves to be far more of a problem than the, not, I don't know if we have to, probably everybody here already knows these things, but I just want to know, what is the upgrade? Like all of these things, according to the spiritual formula of reality of creation, every single thing that triggers us or that has the potential to hurt us is here actually to upgrade us and to help us to live our role in this grand pageant that we're in right now called redemption. Hey, Gabby, so good to see you. Okay, all right. So Chaya and people, in the conversation with us. So let's hear from Chaya now. We've heard a lot from this one
Well,
here.
actually, I want to talk about something that you mentioned in your email to everyone. You talked about the waves. Can you repeat what you wrote? Because that was really fascinating.
Well, I have to go to the
segue with
WhatsApp
that.
where you repeated it to me. I never remember what I said. Okay, the waves of change start to empower rather than disrupt you. Yeah, I did write that actually. That's the goal. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
The waves of change empower us rather than disrupt us. I thought that was brilliant, Shifrachana. I thought that was absolutely brilliant. And I'm so thrilled to connect with you about this, because I feel like you're the midwife, and in birth, you're an expert at helping us come into coherence with these waves of this birth process. And as we think about that, just think about coming into coherence and how you help us, you midwife us into that coherence. And that's where I think the healing is happening. The healing with Hashem. We come into coherence, first of all, with ourselves, with our essence, and then with Hashem automatically. So as soon as we think about that, something begins to happen.
Well, you're definitely slowing down my brainwaves.
Right? We go into somewhat of an alpha, or maybe it's something more alert than an alpha brainwave, though. What would that be? Do you know?
Well, how would you define coherence, first of all?
I'd say coherence is anything that's not disruptive. Use the word rather than disrupting. Anything that's not disruptive is coherent.
So something like a smooth wave that goes forward toward the destination in a smooth pattern, in a harmonious pattern. Okay.
Exactly. Harmonious patterns. And that's what's happening now to our brainwaves. They are coming into harmony. And other things are happening in our physiology as we come into coherence.
You're saying at this moment or in this era?
Yeah, at this moment.
At this moment. I'll go with that.
And as you midwife that, Shifrachana, something profound begins to happen inside of us. You talk a lot about the difference between the different aspects of how we relate to Hashem, about Memalek Kol Almin. Would you like to explain that? Versus, please explain.
And if I have to explain, I will.
No, I want you to explain that
Kabbalah here.
I want you to explain that a little bit.
Okay, so there are two ways. Basically, there are two ways that. See, I'm a little slowed down, but I could easily go fast again. There are two ways that I just have to say this. I grew up in Minnesota, and I moved to New York when I started to become religious. When I became religious, and I talked slow like Minnesota people. And one time I was standing in front of the Grand Synagogue of the Lubavitcher Rebbe of Chabad, the Chabad movement in New York and Brooklyn. And this woman came up to me, and I'm talking to her, and she's like, "You're in New York now, and if you talk this slow, no one's going to be around by the time you finish."
Shifrachana.
It's getting me up.
Then maybe it's the Columbus, Ohio that I was born
There
in.
you go, fellow Midwesterner. Yeah,
That's what
yeah,
it is. I
yeah.
haven't been back there in decades, but
Yeah. How long since I've been to Minnesota? Not since my parents passed away. Not since
yeah.
2011, actually. Yeah. Anyway, okay. Back to the point. So what Chai is asking me to explain is that there are, according to Hasidus authentic Kabbalah, Hegila, there are two primary ways that God interacts with creation, that God is present in creation. One is called Mimalikol Almin, which literally means the divine light that fills the worlds. I'll explain it in a second. And the other is called Sovev Kol Almin. So Mimala is to fill, like you have a bucket and you fill it with, godliness. If you have a bigger bucket, you can fill it with more godliness. If you have a thimble, it's less godliness. That's like some people are holier than others, some are smarter than others. Some spirituality is more God, you can feel things more spiritual. You can feel your source better than in the physical. That's all inside the system called Mamalakal Amin. But if you look at it like a funnel, like if you imagine that God, we're going to be in the screen, that God is extending out like my fingers, but in infinite up, down, all around and beyond in all the dimensions of the multiverse. So then to create creation, you go down to where my palms are connected, where there's just this tiny little space. That's like Mamalakal Almin, this physical world where most of God's presence is completely hidden or almost completely hidden, but surrounding it, it's like a funnel, like a cylinder. Oops, I'm gonna stay in the screen, so that all of that hidden godliness is hovering around us and hiding within us. And so part of what the Lubavitcher Rebbe says we're meant to do in this time, part of the switch, I think this is where Chai is going, is to, when challenges happen that take us out of our narrow, this is what we know, this is what we know. Sometimes I think in terms of a snow globe, then we are empowered or we are invited to look deeper, to feel deeper, to connect deeper, to transcend the identity and what the identity knows about reality. How much is that already happening? And that starts to allow leakage and seepage and make new channels and ultimately open the whole of the human experience to this much larger, absolutely infinite godly realm. That's what's happening. We're not going somewhere else. We're expanding out, breaking out, expanding out of this tight, constricted place that got created. So like a womb. A womb is a tight, constricted place. And it has to be like that for the baby to grow. But when it gets too tight, that activates the forces of pushing the baby out, or like the caterpillar, analogy that I like to use. It's the same idea. So thank you for saying that. Thank you for pointing that way. That's really where we are. That's what has to happen. And somehow, you guys, it has to encompass, hi, Miriam Leah, it has to encompass all of these aspects that sometimes I get in debates with people, like, do we talk about like what was done to us with the medical, quote unquote, bioweapon thing, whether it was the first one or the supposed remedy for it that, was just more of the same, worse of the same. Or do we talk about the corruption in governments? Do we talk about, all of these things, or do we talk about the God underneath it and the process that it's meant to bring out? And maybe all. And I honestly don't know the balance, which is why I love these live streams. Because I told Chaya before she came on, this is not like a summit where we're teaching and this is an open conversation, like the one we would have if nobody was with us. I love it. And you know what? It has to happen. It has to happen everywhere, because the Rebbe even says, the word from Mashiach, the Redeemer, it's the exact same letters as Mesiach, which means to talk. These things, you actually are bringing the redemption, because we are all in our, each one of us is so much bigger and deeper than we know. But when we connect to someone else, now it's a quantum opening in understanding reality and in connecting to a bigger picture. And that activates more of inner inner light, and it brings down more truth into the world and more healing into the world. I don't know. Sometimes my words get like too, like I'm into words, but sometimes
I love your words. Can I just interrupt you for a minute, Shifrachana?
Sure, please interrupt me for a long time.
There's somebody ringing my doorbell incessantly, and I think it's something.
Okay,
attention.
I'll hang out with everybody.
I'll hang out and keep lecturing.
Okay.
How do I mute myself? Do I just
there's be a little mute button underneath the camera, underneath the screen here. Okay, you might be seeing us on YouTube, but we're actually broadcasting from something called Restream, which broadcasts to Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and Rumble, but I'm not, anyway. Okay, so I want to say hi to everybody. Hi, Laura, looking at the light and grace beaming from your faces. Oh, Gib, hello, every person is a universe, share our love. All I think it helps understand. Yeah, so I just want to say, while Chaya's answering the door, because I really feel like I'm like hogging the floor here. And I please, you guys, like share, like this is a dialogue. This is a community. It's a soul tribe. And we are attracted to the people that are vibrating where we're vibrating. And the fact that we don't all lead with exactly the same thing, that's not wrong or bad. That's awesome. As long as we can connect, as long as we can find common ground, and we can't, I mean, we could technically find some common ground with almost everybody, but we find a lot of common ground with each other in this soul family. Yes or no? Say yes or no. Whose ears are especially bad. So when we find common ground, but we all have a slightly different perspective, that makes all of us so much bigger and wiser. And the bigger and wiser we are, the more we're extended beyond our identity. And when we're extended beyond our identity, we're extended beyond the laws of nature that our identity are connected to. This is a mystical concept. I don't know if it's getting through or not, but we're really doing this together with God. We are co-creating with God, and we're doing it through our human, stuff, through the drama, which is very real and very sometimes intense, of human life. This is the laboratory, or this is the crucible, or I don't know what the right word is. This is the stage, the playing field, the stadium in which God and world are merging, in which divinity is showing truth through the drama of the light and the darkness and the good and the evil, which is definitely very, very real. Although sometimes nuanced, sometimes not nuanced. Bioweapon attacks on humanity are not nuanced. Some things are nuanced, like how people think, what their belief system is more nuanced. So I feel like we have the opportunity in these kinds of meetings, and in many other kinds of meetings. I'm working on a project. Bless me, because I was ready to give up at the second meeting. So we'll see what happens. But it could be, if God says yes to it, it could be an incredible, like beyond, project. I don't even want to call it a project. I want to call it a movement that will allow everybody to show up with what they have to offer, and to find ways together and separately to lift up, ourselves and the people around us, our soul tribe, and then ultimately the world. Like I'll describe it later when it's ready to launch. We're not ready at all, and I hope we will get ready, but we're working on it. But basically, based along the theme of one God, or one creator, one humanity, one world. And that's it. And we're standing for principles that if everybody were standing for them, none of this could have happened, although it was all meant to happen. So what are we learning? Like the prophet Daniel says, that at these times, at the end of days, that all of the things that were mixed up, like when Adam and Eve ate from the tree of knowledge, good and evil got mixed up, and everything, confusion ensued. And one of the things that's happening now, one of the big core things, is that we're sorting it out, and you can't sort it out. Like, the letter 17, said many times, you can't tell people. Sometimes you can't tell people, you have to show them.
Right.
So we want to be people who are easy to show, because that means less of the drama, more of the light, more of the healing. But ultimately, we do have to be in this discernment process. And Prophet Daniel says that at that time, the foolish will not understand, but the wise will understand. So good to be wise. And how do we get wise? Not by sitting in our house and thinking about our righteousness, but by talking with others who are like-minded, questioning ourselves, not our core knowing of what's right and wrong, but, is there another perspective that I could add to my perspective? Is there another way that I can bring more people in to this one humanity? All people of goodwill, that's the line of demarcation, not people of not goodwill, but all people of goodwill belong with us. And how can we,
For
get rid
sure.
of our triggers, heal our
For
triggers,
sure.
so that we can speak in language that people understand, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, go
Exactly. So before you were talking about Sovev al Kol Almin, and um, and Mamale Kol Almin, if you'd like to translate that again, so I want to
The
talk about that.
transcendent light that surrounds all worlds and the light that fills all worlds.
Right. So
The light
what you
that
were
fills all
saying,
worlds is the laws of nature as we know them, by the way. The light that transcends all worlds, there's no laws of nature because God and you are bringing it into being as partners right now.
exactly. I want to borrow from a metaphor from within the world that we are drawing upon the infinite resource of our Creator in ways that we've never been able to before. And
Say more about that.
we need to learn to ground in that, and as if we were connected to our Creator with an umbilicus that never stops giving, never stops giving us nurturing and empowerment, love, sustenance, so that we know that goodness is always coming. And it's coming like Harrison said in your last summit, like the next breath, like breathing. And just imagine being connected intimately, being part of, being an indivisible part of that goodness, that ultimate infinite goodness that created us, so that we're never away from ourselves and we're never divorced from our source and we're never disconnected from sustenance, stability, safety, love, nurturance, infinite abundance, and goodwill. Imagine that. And how do we do that? Well, I've been drawing upon a way of thinking about it that just came to me recently, in the past few weeks, actually. I've been playing around for many years with the idea of grounding. I don't know how many of you have been playing with that also. Connecting to the earth. I'm an environmentalist at heart and by training. And connecting to the earth comes naturally to me. But I never realized until recently how profound connecting skin to the earth really is. Connecting our bodies to the earth really is. And what's profound is that as soon as we connect our bodies to the earth, whether it be a finger, a toe, or I don't know, a knee, to the bare earth or to the plants growing from the earth, something profound happens. We immediately get flooded with electrons from the planet itself. And something else happens. Our bodies are allowed to drain excess positive charge into the earth, grounded, so we don't get overwhelmed, either emotionally, physically, electromagnetically, which means that even if we're surrounded by EMFs and 5G and whatever we're concerned about,
Yes.
a million cell phones all around us, you name it, we can discharge all of that safely into the earth by connecting with the earth. And I don't mean walking on rubber soles. I mean connecting without that insulation
Are
to
you
the
able
earth.
are you able to see the chat now or no, or not yet?
No, I don't see the chat. Can you?
Okay, so I just want to let you know, first of all, saying hi to everybody. I missed some of you by name, but glad you're here. So Aviva Esther Leah says, I've been moved to stand barefoot on the ground every day for the past month. Rebecca says, I just did it, love it. And Samuel said, I sit under a tree, meditate, feet on ground and roots, which have, when I have shoes on, it's not the same. It's exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
Exactly.
It says, wow, love that, Chaya. So Laura's saying, Shalom Geula Tribe, how do I connect to live chat via video and chat at the same time? If you're on your phone, usually I haven't watched Restream from my phone as a participant, but on Zoom, there are little dots and you can't look at all screens at one time. There should be a dot or something that you can press to get to the chat, and probably have to toggle back between the chat and the screen. Shauna says, I'm going outside right now to put my feet on the earth and listen to you at the same time. Yeah, it's super powerful. It's super powerful. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
look what I'm doing. I'm sitting inside and I'm connected to the earth.
Okay, show us that now, because I couldn't. Kai tried to show me this when I was getting ready for the summit, and I'm like, I can't have no room for any more information. So here it comes again.
I took a.
Looks like a catheter. I guess it is a catheter.
Well, I made a catheter. It's what do you call it? An audio wire to connect speakers to a radio from, back in the 1990s or whatever.
It's just like an insulated wire, a rubber insulated.
Right. And so I just connected a steel screw to the copper wiring inside here. And I connected a safety pin to the copper wiring on this side. And then I connected a ring of steel so I could connect with it. And I take one of these and I connected to a steel nail that's in my concrete wall, which is connected to the rest of the concrete building that I live in. I'm up on the 2.5 floors up, but the building, the concrete walls are grounded. So if I have this connected to a steel peg or nail into the concrete, I'm grounded. As I touch this, my body is completely immersed in electrons from planet Earth.
I didn't know that. Why is concrete grounding? Does concrete conduct? Doesn't it have to conduct?
It does. Concrete conducts if it's not painted over with some kind of polymer or something. And I have a nail going past the layer of paint and whatever it is right into the concrete, and so I'm now grounded.
Do you feel it?
I feel very different, and that's the metaphor I'm using for instantly connecting to our Creator. It's a metaphor, but it's very powerful. And when first I want to talk about instantly connecting to the planet. It's something we've been missing for a very long time.
Probably part of the whole deal to disconnect.
Part of the whole deal.
Every day you learn something else about what's been what's been pulled over your eyes.
And speaking of pulling over the eyes, oh my goodness. What I feel most since I started grounding, outside, inside, whenever possible, barefoot or hands in the soil, but even when I'm inside on a rainy day, I connect. Wow. Instantly. The moment I touch this, I'm flooded with electrons from the planet. And it doesn't feel like a flood. What it feels like over time, not at first. At first, it's hard to tell the difference. But over time, my head starts clearing. My eyes open, and I become that youthful, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed person I was in my childhood.
Does it work on stone? Like I'm in an old stone building.
Stone for sure. For sure. Stone is very conductive. Stone is extremely conductive. All I have to do is fasten something into that stone wall and connect.
So steel or copper, stone, concrete, what else conducts?
Plants, but the green part of the plants, not the dry bark. The dry bark is not conductive. Wood is an insulating aspect. But the green parts, if you're sitting on a bench and you can touch with one pinky, you can touch the leaf of a plant nearby that's in the ground, not in a plastic container or removed from the soil of the earth. I don't mean in a container plant. I mean a rooted plant in the earth. If you touch the leaves or the stem, anything, any part of it that's moist, not the dry bark, that will
Hmm.
be conductive. And
Wow. That
we
makes grounding
we're
a lot
meant to
easier
be
when it's cold.
exactly. And I've been doing something else also. Since we're having a conversation, we can tell you all the fun.
Yeah, you're a bit of a mad scientist.
I was with a friend and I was trying to introduce her to this idea. And I came up with an idea. I pulled out four skewers that we use for barbecuing. I no longer barbecue because I'm vegan now. Whole foods, low fat vegan, love it. Um, but I had these skewers that I'm no longer using, and I had the idea that even if it's muddy outside and we wouldn't want to be barefoot, all we have to do is take two stainless steel skewers. Of course, don't do this during a lightning storm or any of these. Don't do these things during the lightning storm. And place the skewers not too deeply because you don't want to tear any under underground wires or anything, but this much into the ground, and then tuck the other end of the skewer inside your sock or underneath your pants and touching your skin on each leg, and just sit there and enjoy a book out in the park or on the near the
In other words,
sidewalk.
you can wear your shoes and just sneak it in. Interesting.
Yeah, so that's what she did. My friend was doing this, and she said, you know what, Chaya, my everything I was worried about a few minutes ago is has shrunk in dimensions, and I feel so much more alive. She said, I feel refreshed. And she said, and this is a woman who really loves nature. My friend loves nature. She and I are like, we love to, she's my Pocahontas friend. She knows all the names of all the flowers in Israel and every stream and every rock and every creature. I call her Pocahontas. So, but even though she's a nature person, she's always wearing rubber soled shoes when she's in nature. This is the
Hmm.
first time through these skewers that she had contact with the earth and for any extended period of time. I mean, except for when she's gardening, when like she loves to get her fingers into the earth, and then she does feel it. But she never felt this before, just sitting on the park bench. And she said, "You know what? My state of mind is completely different."
Well,
And I started playing with this in the greater dimension of grounding into our connection with our creator. Now, how would that be? Imagine that. And that's instant too. Immediately flooded with all the goodness, the godness that we are prepared and able to take in.
are
But not
you
more than that.
are you
But not
holding
more
this
than that.
metal ring as part of grounding into the creator, or you still just it's just part of your demo? So how
No,
do you do that?
I do this as often as possible. I just enjoy feeling flooded with electrons. I love it. And because these electrons give our body not everything they need. We need our nutrition. Also, we need our fresh air. We need our spiritual sustenance, of course. We need love. But what the earth gives us is these electrons that we need for every biological process. And without them, we have inflammation.
Hmm.
And so the same thing, if we are disconnected, God forbid, from our creator to any degree, we don't have what we need for our spiritual biological sustenance. That that's where the
We have a
that's where the
buildup of the 3D reality. We have a backup of the 3D reality. It probably does also cause inflammation. What is inflammation? It's the body's immune response to something that,
yes, that
well,
has gone awry. That has gone awry.
wow, that's a really profound analogy. I guess not an analogy, it's actually a fractal.
It's a fractal, exactly, Shifrachane. That's a term you like to use, fractal. And I love it when you do, because as you say, everything's a fractal. Everything's a fractal.
In case anyone isn't familiar with the word, fractal is a pattern, like a repeating pattern in nature or in the universe, sorry, I'm pouring some electrolyte water. Like a tree has a trunk, has roots and a trunk, and then it has branches, and then it has sub branches, and and the veins in the body have the same structure. So that's a fractal, and also the way that thoughts work. You have a main thought, and then it branches out, same. So that's a fractal. So any kind of pattern that's applied uniquely to unique situations, but is an overall similar pattern, that's a fractal. It's pretty cool because there are fractals all over. And when you start to see the fractals, some people, I think, Judith Schneider calls it the law of correspondence. You start to understand it's like building blocks for reality. Hi, Katie.
Exactly. And I'm just listening to you, Shifrachan, I'm shivering with excitement. You know that feeling when you hear truth?
Yeah.
You start to shiver inside, or you start to tear a little bit, and you recognize truth. So when
the
you
body tells you.
Ooh. Yeah.
So how do you plug into you showed us how to plug into the ground. That's pretty cool. How do you plug into source? Anytime.
That was the question. That was the question I had. How do we plug into source? Because we can't obviously just, plug it into the socket. We could get, that would not be a good idea. And also our creator is not physical and doesn't have a physical limitation or form. So we don't want to physicalize our creator. That would be a travesty. We don't want to do that. So how do we connect? How do we connect to Hashem? I asked myself that question. And I found a few hints. One hint is how our sages describe, and this is something I said in the interview. They also asked that the verse in the Torah, "V'atem hadvekim b'Hashem Elokechem chayim kulchem hayom." Those of you who cleave to Hashem, your Creator, your God, are fully alive today. Mm-hmm. And on that verse and on other verses, our sages comment, how do we cleave to God? And the answer is, Mahu rachum afata rachum. Just as Hashem, our God, is merciful, compassionate, kind, so we become merciful, compassionate, and kind with ourselves and with each other. And so that's the first way we ground in our Creator, is by emulating our Creator. That's what our sages teach us. And then there's another aspect of it, and that's something I found in Psalms to be inspiring. In Psalm 92, which begins Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbat, the song for the Sabbath day. I'm finding the pasuk that in verse 13, pasuk Yud Gimel, Tzadik ketamar yifrach, ke'erez balevanon yizgeh. The righteous flourish like a palm tree. He grows like a cedar in Lebanon. Shtulim bevet Adonai bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu. Those that are planted in the house of the Lord shall flourish in the courts of our God. Od yenuvun beseva, deshenim vera'ananim yiyu. They shall still bring forth fruit in old age. Isn't that what we were aiming for, Shafachana?
Definitely. We're aiming for infinite life. We're aiming, like the Torah says,
Exactly.
You don't have to keep coming and going. We get to stay and build and keep expanding joy and have joy over each other. Nobody has to separate from anybody. Yeah, it's part of the redemption.
Exactly. And they shall be fat and flourishing. That's what it says here. Deshenim vera'ananim yiyu.
Being fat is good.
להגיד כי ישר אדוני צורי ולא עוולת בו. To declare that the Lord is upright, He is my rock. and there is no unrighteousness in him. I think that says it all.
So to emulate God and to think about God and to think about God's attributes, that's how you say to plug in?
No, actually, yes, that's the one way. But the second way that I'm inspired by here is not this beyond attributes. It comes to it actually connects to our attributes of righteousness, our own attributes of being a righteous person who is planted in 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 God's righteousness.
So the idea that we're one with it. Yeah. I feel that like on a
And
personal level
mm-hmm.
when I feel like I need clarity or I really have for the past year tried to I do it by writing a lot on my laptop, but I can do it by talking or feeling or praying, but to feel God inside of me, like literally that connection, it actually says in the Torah that's why one of the reasons why learning Torah is called the most intimate embrace possible, because Torah is God's wisdom and will. And when you learn it, you're stepping into it and then it's coming into you. So it's a holographic intertwining that's where we're all supposed to go. That's just a tiny, tiny, tiny feature of what redemption is.
Exactly. And when we learn Torah with you, Shifra, when we learn the Pnimiyut, the internal Torah, the essential Torah that you teach, the inner understanding, we are immersed. We are immersed in the spirit of Torah, in the spirit of Hashem.
You do feel it. I know you feel this too. That's why, that's why when we go into the deep texts, like over time, your brain, is it the brain? The brain is part of it. The brain becomes receptive to divine consciousness, to a deeper reality, and it becomes tangible. And lots of times when I'm sure the same thing happens to you, Chaya, and all of us who do this, that when you focus on a concept and you're looking at words, and then you're looking again, and all of a sudden the feeling is like this sentence opens up, and out of it pours up like an awareness of something that is so deep, so profound, so sweet, and then it starts rearranging your brain map of reality, but you're not hearing it, you're seeing it as it shifts, and then that changes all of your relationship with life. And that can happen every time you dig in. Once you train your brain, it takes a little while to train the brain to create new receptors for that kind of awareness. Yeah, which is also, I'm so glad you brought that up, because people have been coming on, so most people didn't hear me say this, but I'm throwing this out to everybody, not just for now, but for long term. That like, how do we bring up as a community, as a global community, how do we not only bring truth into ourselves, but bring truth up and out of ourselves? Like, do we just share like the bad news with people, or do we demand an accounting? Maybe some of this, I think some of it is, I tried to do that for a long time. And then I figured, whoever wants to know knows, like,
Like,
that point, like, what's
yeah.
the point? But I don't know, not everybody feels that way. Like there, it's up to us. Like
Although I agree with you, Shifra, that I like to quote Mr. Rogers, whatever is mentionable is manageable.
a good point. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Rogers. Yeah. So also, sorry, Yehudit Schneider. I don't know how many people were in the summit, but there's this idea of holiness and unholiness. Murder's unholy and prayer's holy. Things like that. But then there's this other realm that in Hasidus and in Kabbalah is called klipat noga, which means a translucent impurity. Which what that really means in grounded terms is that's our area of free choice. That's where the thing could be neutral, like the internet is klipat noga, food is klipat noga, love is klipat noga. It can be used to take you down, and others or can be used to build up. So that's where we have our realm. That's when we get to this stage here now in history. There is so much in the world that can be used either way, and it is being used both ways. Like fear is weaponized against us, propaganda is weaponized against us. That's a use of all different kinds of this, translucent material that is harnessable to whatever cause. So part of what I feel so passionate about is for us to become really conscious and to connect together and to start to learn how to use all of that for the good, for the, for God's cause, which is the same thing as our cause. We're not meant to even submerge into God. We're meant to expand into complete God awareness and yet be ourselves. And we'll see it in others. I mean, just trying to get glimpses of where we're going. It's difficult sometimes, but it's incredible because we can start to feel those glimpses. We can start to put the pieces of the puzzle together. So maybe I'm harping on this, but I think it's okay. The truth is that I've gotten in a few knockdown dragouts with other people, other influencers who have just a different prime, or maybe it's not even different, but sometimes we're vibrating like I was like this for a couple of years with the whole COVID thing. We left Israel because we couldn't handle the tyranny. We couldn't, we had to get out, and it was scary. I felt like I was a refugee. I felt like I'm not going to go into that story, but it was scary. It was hard to get out of the country, and the airport was empty and like taped up, and all the stores were closed. I was like, at that point, I was like, I'll sit on the floor to get out of here. It was horrible.
It was
surreal.
Horrible. It's
surreal. And that's happening in so many places. And yet at the same time, so I was like enraged and I was terrified and I had symptoms and I didn't know if I was coming down with it. And I was with, vulnerable people and what I should do. I was like calling energy healers, my go-to energy healers 2 or 3 times a day sometimes, or at night, just to get help. But then, there's another level, there's a deeper level. So some people are like with that, like this is people have been lately asking I started asking this a couple of years ago, like what happened to never again? For those of you not Jewish, you should know that there's a slogan that the Jews said after the Holocaust, never again. Like people ask, like, why were the Jews, why'd they get on trains? Why did they not question? Why did they not run? Why did they not protest? Why did they not emigrate? And what came out of this was this slogan, never again. It's never going to happen again. But guess what? So we're still vulnerable. There's still a huge gap between our ideals and our awareness of how to interpret reality. So I need, not just now, but I need and want connection with all of you and whoever else will join our community, and this ongoing Messiah, this discussion on what do we lead with? What is the most productive way? Because after a while, when nobody knew what was going on, and I got kicked off, like so many probably of you, different WhatsApps and different groups, and people left my, mailing list because I said Trump has a divine role to play, even if you think he's horrible, he's still, God's in charge. And people would like publicly, like, I cannot be part of this, Or once I asked online, like, does anybody know where to get a prescription for ivermectin? And I had 250 or so comments telling me that I was responsible for the murder of millions. It's like, okay.
Oh no.
All right. No. All right. This is the world we're living in. And that's really what shocked me more than the governments. The honest truth is the governments can come and go. If we have consciousness, the government's gone. Governments correspond. This is a principle in spirituality also, that the governments correspond to our level. We get the governance basically that we deserve, so to speak. But when the people that are supposed to be your friends are wishing death on you, not my intimate friends, but I'm saying people that are like, evolved, that, I mean, I've calmed down a lot, and I really don't want to get riled up again because it didn't really serve me, but it's appalling. You're looking at something and you're like, this is appalling. I cannot look upon this. I cannot look upon this. And you feel that feeling that goes into your body, like, like how. So we need to talk it out. We need to understand where it is that we can contribute now. Anybody who wants to contribute, starting with ourselves, what are the thoughts that we should lead with? What are the things that we should try to focus in on and enhance? And what are the things we should try to, like, I realized that as long as I think of the Israeli government and feel hatred and fear, because that hatred came from fear, I'm the one who's suffering for the way that I feel, not them. So, and you're not effective when you come from fear. You can't persuade. No one can persuade. You can make people afraid, but you cannot persuade and enroll them and empower them to shine light, even, forceful light when they're afraid. So things have to be worked with. And who's going to work with it if not us? Right, Chaya? That's how I feel.
Exactly.
I would love for us all to be in it together, this whole community. I want to hear what you have to say, and then I want to read, because you can't see the chat. I want to read to you a few things and acknowledge what people are saying, because at the end of the day, this is a soul tribe.
Of course, and that's exactly right. We're a soul tribe, even if we disagree about so many things. And we can even disagree about major aspects of life or leadership. But and yet we're one family. We're always that one family, and that's one of the side effects of grounding in our Creator. And I don't mean just the attributes of our Creator, but in the sustenance of our Creator, like being that tree, like the tzaddik, the tree that's getting nourished and sustained and being brought alive every minute anew, every moment anew, from that next breath and that next breath and that next infusion of life, that next infusion of soulfulness. And if we live in that, and just imagine yourself planted like a tree at a river, at a riverside,
Mm.
and you're always being nourished, and you're in the sun. And what do you feel inside your body as being that tree, that tree of righteousness? You don't have to be perfect. We're all a work in progress. So, but being that tree, imagine that, and notice how whatever was bothering you or upsetting you a minute ago takes a new perspective. And any disagreements you may have had with your neighbor, your child, your spouse, your parent, your brother, your sister, your cousin, there it also takes on a new perspective, because all of our roots are intertwined. Trees in the forest speak to each other through the roots. There's almost a hormonal discussion happening between the roots of trees within an ecosystem. They speak to each other. We are speaking to each other. We're living here together. Just imagine that intertwining of roots that we have, and we're all sustained. There's no more scarcity.
Wait, so you're saying we're all already communicating with each other on that root level, which is why I guess idea memes spread so fast. But then I guess what you're also saying is if we dig our roots a bit deeper into the actual source without even working on it, that's going to come through us into the entire root system of humanity. Wow, that's stunning.
Do you
That's
feel
really
the difference
powerful.
already? Can you
Oh
see
yeah,
the difference?
I was going to ask you what you. I want to look behind the curtain. What is it that you're actually doing that's creating this effect? You're definitely creating a coherence effect on purpose.
Yes, I am, and I think
What,
we
what
can
are you
all do this. This is what I teach. This is what I
Okay.
teach, but it's a new teaching. If you were in my class a few months ago, you didn't get this. This is new. It's a
Okay,
new
so what I
aspect.
want to do, we're already at almost an hour, and it's so cool. So
Yes.
what I want to do is just quickly go, like, just share a few of the comments that
Mhm.
our community is making, and then if you can just share with us a few principles, share a little bit about your program, a few of the principles of healing that everybody can take away with them,
Mhm.
and then maybe a 5-minute like actual immersion, if that's okay.
I think
Healing.
we're doing it already. I don't think we need
Okay.
any more immersion. I think we're
Okay.
just in
Fine.
it. We're in it
It's
already.
true. It's
I like
true. She's what, Chaya?
I like immersions that are living and moving, and
Yeah. True.
I like to meditate as part of life. I don't like
So
I
you're
like to meditate while I'm washing dishes, while I'm gardening, while I'm holding my grandchildren, while I'm talking to you, Shifra. This is a meditation.
That's true. It's true, and I guess that's kind of like what that idea that God is operating in the world, hiding within things, Mamalikal Amin, and transcending things and hovering at that deeper level. I guess that's what happens when you can be meditating at every moment while you're living your life. That's true. That's next edge. Okay, we'll talk about that in a minute. Let's go through the so just because Chaya can't see the comments for some reason. Um,
I can't. I don't know where to find them.
so Katie says, best way to wake up, you and Chaya teaching and discussing our Heavenly Father. Rosette says, this is great teaching. Miriam Leah says, Amen. Samuel says, he's here right now. He's everywhere. Talk to him in your mind always. Miriam Leah says, we can connect through yearning. I do that a lot. Um,
Exactly.
Bye,
And all of
Tom.
everything you're saying, everything all of you are saying. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
so people are just commenting on, let's see, on on what we've been talking about. Creator, Samuel says, creator is pure love, pure eclipsing love, nothing else. He can't serve what we deem as justice. The law of the universe sorts out yin yang or good, bad. Yeah, but where does that come from? You see, in Mamali Kol Almin, it's possible to separate from the laws of the universe and God, but actually the truth is, according to, as the Torah tells us, that everything's God. And on that macro level, God is, the laws of the universe are being created inside of God, and they can easily be changed. So when we connect on that higher level, we're partners with God, and we can also change the laws of the universe. I know that this
Exactly.
might take some absorbing, but it's the truth. That's where we need to go. Is this a regular time that you have live broadcasts? I'm aiming for this. It's not always going to be this time, but I'm just like, I had the summit. I couldn't do any live broadcasts, and this is the first it's a little hard to start once I stop, but now Kai got me started again. So hopefully, most of the time it's going to be at this time, unless I have something else I have to do, and then I'll either not do it or I'll tell you when I'm going to do it. But if you go to my YouTube and subscribe and hit notifications, you'll find out when I'm doing a live stream. Also on my Telegram group, and all these links are underneath this video. You can sign up for the Telegram, and I try to post there if I'm going to go live. Okay.
And this is
56.
so much fun.
Thank you, Shauna. Shauna says 56 souls listening and only 7 likes. Don't forget. I'm new to this. I'm new to the live streaming, not the coaching, mentoring, summits, or anything else, or healing, but I'm new to live streaming. So yeah, could you hit like and share with your friends? Apparently it helps a lot. Apparently they don't show, everybody who subscribes does not get notifications, does not see things on Facebook. But when the more likes there are, the more the algorithm pulls you up. So if you think the information is worth sharing, like and subscribe. Commenting also seriously affects the algorithm, even if you say great or or whatever. I don't think they evaluate the quality of the comments, just the quantity. And then you can share with people. That would be very helpful. Laura says,
Yeah,
100% agreement. Never again perpetuates victim mentality. I mean, yeah, as long as it's not actually leading to an actual, no, we're not taking this. But anything, you have I think what you're saying, Joanne, is anything that comes from fear. With fear, I fight with this all the time in my life, hopefully transcending, but anything that comes from fear, anger, rage, victimhood, resentment, when you find the fear underneath, it's always a disempowerment. Like it doesn't mean that we're not supposed to fight. And although this ultimate war is God's to win, but we are partners in that. But we vote with our actions. We support with our actions, and based on the fact that a certain number of us are aligned, that's when God moves the process forward, because we have to wake up. Anyway, thank you for your compassion. Thank you for, Miriam Lay says, I feel compassion for you that you experienced that. It was so hard, and grateful you persevered, and we're here now. Me too. I thank Hashem I found all of you, really. He led me here, says Katie. I'm so grateful. I've been looking for you my whole life. That is so beautiful. Laura says, I hope it's not boring that I'm reading this out loud, but Chaya has to hear it. I had to take a break from the fake news because I was so angry. Listening to you and your guests have imparted grace and shalom into my very soul. Soul work is body work. Oh, Chaya's going to talk about that in a minute. That's her. That is, if she would have a slogan, that would be it.
that would
Katie,
be it. Thank you so
yes,
much.
finding 20 cutting edge, Chaya. Katie says, Miriam, I have to go. Looking forward to the course on Sunday, Chaya. I feel something indescribable when I join your live chats. That's really good for me to hear, because I also, can I be like, true confessions? I grew up like not knowing how exactly. I felt very inadequate. I felt like clueless. I grew up feeling clueless. So it wasn't that I got picked on especially, but I just didn't know how to. I figured that when I was little, everybody else knows how to do things, and I don't. There's their rules, and I don't know. So I still carry, like, when I'm not totally in my zone, or I'm trying something new, or I'm a little bit self-conscious, I start to think, am I doing this right? Like, is this the right thing? Are people in? So anything that you can, the feedback really, really helps, both for me to know what to do, and also for me to know that I am in some way hitting the spot. I know the same is true for Chaya and for everybody who,
Exactly.
you guys too, you want to give, but you want to know that what you are giving is what people want to receive, and you're giving it in the right way. And we're all here to learn. We're all here to learn from each other and from ourselves.
Exactly. I feel
Okay,
the same way, Shifra in your here in your live chats, and just now being with you. This is the most fun I've had in
right?
Yeah, right. This is the
It's
greatest.
totally
It's the
different.
greatest.
It's great. It's totally different. It's, why? So many years I waited and waited. I'm a spiritual teacher, so I'm like, for many years until this whole disaster happened, I'm like, okay, I have to tone it down. Well, actually, I started when Mr. T got elected. I started to feel like, I'm being suppressed. That's not okay. But, I never felt complete. Also, because I had a very mixed audience. Now my audience is more, let's say, Torah friendly, even if not necessarily Jewish. And there was a lot Jewish and a lot non-Jewish, but a lot of Torah friendly, Torah, familiar people. But it didn't used to be like that. So I felt like I can't say everything I really think. And we have all been subject to that. And actually, that's part of the psyops that have been directed at us. Don't, BPC,
Yeah.
don't dare say out of, punishment. It's really sick. It's really, if we look at it, it's really sick. We can look back and see what's been done. And it's just like all those dystopian novels. However, we are waking up out of it now. We're here to help each other, and we're here to help God, and God is here to help us. And this is
Right.
already a done deal, but we need to live into it. So to be able to express, to have an authentic conversation, and not to think about how it's coming across, and you have a thought and you just express it, that's phenomenal. And that's what we all want to do. Living meditation
Exactly.
is my favorite.
Exactly.
It's actually rejuvenating for my face to smile. The energy is coming through, making me smile, and it's actually refreshing my body. Somebody
You
asked,
really are. Yeah. Yeah.
my face hurts from smiling so much. I'll start setting my alarm. Nice, Chaya, like the ripple in the pond. I see 21 likes so far. That's awesome. Thank you for Shana, who inspired people. If you want to come on the lives, maybe you can keep saying that in the chat. That would be great public service and service
Keep
to us.
liking. Keep liking.
Yeah.
Keep liking Shifrachana's lives. We want to reach
Okay.
everyone.
Deb says, I thank you. I just struggled with not knowing how to handle the uncomfortable feelings of someone feeling proud of themselves for putting you down to defend themselves from a perceived injustice. These are things we will learn. These are things we can raise when we get together and, rotate experts. Like everybody's an expert in something. Like Chaya is a total expert in spiritual, physical, and emotional healing, in all kinds of facets. So,
Still
but
learning.
everybody's
Still
an
learning.
expert. What?
I'm still learning. Every day.
Of
Every day is
course,
a
that's what
new.
makes you an expert, because you're passionate about it. You apply it, you see what works. We're all living laboratories, so everybody here is an expert in something. When we rotate experts and all go into the learning mode and integrate what the other one has to say, that's when we rise out of this matrix of the snow globe, Mamali Almin, the squished space, so fast,
Is that
exponentially,
true?
days. If we got in that mode, it could take days to
It's
completely change
true.
reality. Yeah, there are 8 billion of us. It's
And
exponential
that's
too.
what you do.
Sorry.
That's what you do. You help us transcend the snow globe. That's your expertise. That's your midwifery.
Um, Hopefully, but we're all here to do it together. And I learned so
Exactly.
much from you. I'm learning so much from everybody, even the people when I'm saying, like, I had arguments with people. I'm learning from those people. It's causing me to sharpen my edge, because I could be soft, because so many years I've been like trying to be, my nature is to be supportive and to be understanding and to be a mediator and to look for the good. It's part of what makes me a really, really, really effective mentor, because I can see it right inside to the person's mission, their
Oh yeah.
greatness. But it's also part of what holds back. We can't hold back. We just have to find the right blend. That's Tiferes. We're in this,
Yeah.
for those who count the Omer, we're in a 49-day period of going through divine attributes, and we count each day a blend of, and we're in the blend between loving kindness and severity. This is the week of Tiferes, where we blend these things, no accidents.
Exactly. Exactly. Wow. Wow. That's it. Because you're spot on in your coaching, Shifrachana. When you're coaching people, you're so spot on intuitive.
It happened not that long ago. I mean, I'm not going to say I don't feel that. I feel like it's a gift. I feel like it's not me. Like sometimes I'm listening to someone and I'm like, I have no idea what to say. And then usually I'll either, while I'm listening, I'll talk to God and ask for help, or I'll say, I need a minute. And I don't have any agenda. I just get out of the way. I ask, and always, I mean, so far, please Hashem, don't, like, just let our good qualities increase. But
Amen.
it's kind of interesting to, our gifts are coming online, and there's so many that we
Yeah.
don't know about, no matter where we are. That's for
And
everybody.
exactly. Our new gifts are coming online all the time as we connect and with each other. Because as you said, we're learning so much from each other. We have to do this together. And by connecting with our creator, we're always being updated and receiving new insights and new understandings that we never had before every day. Every day is a new discovery. It's so wonderful getting up in the morning and knowing, hey, and it's another wonderful kind of day.
Yeah. Yeah, and sometimes it doesn't feel wonderful, but that is usually a shift to be made. I mean, the truth is people are saying there have been victims. That's true, and it's not okay, which is all the
Right.
more reason why, like, we can get stuck in the, believe me, I've been there. Believe me, I've been there years and decades of, like, the tragedy of life, like the wounded healer that, like, I have to feel everyone's tragedy, and it's been so much work to start to get out of that. And
It's
it's not,
true.
right?
I was
Right?
there too. I was there too. I was, God knows.
I think that it's a phase maybe that people go through because when you're wounded, you have a huge potential for healing because you have all that compassion and all the trauma can turn to wisdom, like, and transformation. It's part of the work that I do in my program. It's part of the work that Haya does. This is the healing work, whatever angle we come from. And that's for everybody. Know that your wounds are your greatest light. This is a core principle of creation also, because when
Exactly.
I mean, when the question's bigger than the answer, this is prophecy. The prophets say that the world will come to a point where there's evil beyond our ability, I'm paraphrasing, but beyond our ability to deal with, and then we'll turn to God. And it doesn't just mean like, everybody's in desperate, like, no, turn to God where God is. Turn to God, root in God. Allow the flow of God within you, obviously with prayer, but with empowered conscious prayer, looking toward the solution, looking toward the light of the future. If we can focus on the light of the future of redemption, what that is, and act accordingly, align, work with ourselves, work with healers like Haya, get rid of the triggers, turn them into transformation and wisdom. We are living channels of godliness, and nothing, no AI, no BSDS,
That's right. That's
no,
right.
no,
AI. That's a whole
none
new.
of none of
Yeah.
no things, and no, financial things, and none of this stuff has it. Only, I just was reading a book from Rabbi Avram Sutton, brilliant. He was one of the speakers. He's so much, and it's from 2012, and when I read
Which
it
book?
before, it's spiritual technology. It's
Technology.
the previous
Wow.
version. I don't think I have the most updated version, but anyway, I was looking, he was writing about how there are people in our times. He was writing about the fallen angels, and he named them by name, and he said where they are and how people get, what is the he described the process from the Zohar and other sources. He described the process of how people who want occult powers go there and what they have to do and how they learn it, and what happens. And he connected it with biblical history. And then he said there are people now. He said this in 2012 before I had a clue.
Wow.
He said
Wow.
the people now who are doing this, that are trying to control the world through connecting with these BLACK arts, and the whole God, this is a spiritual war, but it does not have to be fought anymore. I mean, we had too many, like, too many casualties, both emotions and physical, but it is, nevertheless, God set up the world as a war. That's why you have the Garden of Eden and the snake. Why? Because the deepest light comes from the darkness. So there has to be the darkness, and then God wins. Like, I hear people saying that all the time. That's also from, that letter of the
It's
alphabet, O, with the line, that God wins. So that's true. These things are true. It is biblical. It is actually biblical. But the thing that we want to know, that Chaya and I think everybody who I work with feels that we need everybody to know, that you must be aware of the truth on the ground. You also must be aware of the truth in the heavens, or in the
ex-
inside of the core underneath all of this. And you must know that your soul came down for this. In fact, I haven't confirmed this with a second source because I never heard it before, but Rabbi Sutton said that every soul that ever lived, I knew that every leader that oppressed the Jewish people was coming back in these times, but he said that every soul, I'm sure it's from a source, I just have to check it out before I feel totally comfortable, standing for it. But I'm sure he wouldn't say it if it's not well sourced. Every soul who ever lived is back on the planet now. True that some
mm,
have come and gone in our generation, but this is the final generation. The Rebbe said this too: the last generation of exile and the first of redemption. This is it. So everybody came back to finish whatever our
yes.
souls didn't finish, both in our
Exactly.
self-refinement and in our refining of the world, and our discernment. And so take yourself in a joyful, lighthearted way, take yourself extremely seriously. You are here because you are an essential part of that 8 billion piece puzzle, that if we get 8 billion minus 1, the puzzle is useless. And what does that mean? And I'll be out here talking about it in my, all my work. This is what I consider myself a metaphysicist, trying to figure out, and Chaya would be a metaphysician, with exploring the healing on the spiritual level. Anyway, the point is clear. I'm just going on and on, but I cannot tell you how much I want for people to receive this and to be activated. Because as soon as we're activated, it all changes.
Exactly.
What's it going to take to activate you? Whoever you are, what's it going to take to activate you? What's it going to take to activate me? I mean, I'm activated, but I'm activated to a level, and I keep getting activated deeper. Usually when I get deactivated and I get derailed, that's when I end up getting activated on a deeper level. But I am very, 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 for some reason, I have turned into a relentless being. Like, I can't let go of this. I can't. So, I just keep getting up and going deeper. But
I love it.
Anyway.
I love
Okay.
it. I love it. And I think that what we need now, instead of a lot of pain and suffering, which each and every one of us has overdosed on.
Yeah, overdosed.
Really, really. So now what I believe we need now in order to take the next step further is two aspects. I think first of all, we need a lot of compassion and love for the parts of ourselves that have been through so much pain. Because the only way to progress further is by really giving a lot of compassion, love, and understanding without needing to agree with those pain parts, but a lot of understanding for those parts of us that have been through so much. And let them rest in that compassion. Let them rest in that garden of compassion where they're planted by the riverside and receive the sustenance and all the help that they never got before. That's number one. Number two, our roots are all over us. And like a tree, our connection to God, to our Creator, is all over us and inside of us, every aspect of us. So you're connected to Hashem in every physical, spiritual, electromagnetic aspect of your being. All you have to do is be. And notice what happens. And when you do that, and you keep doing this over time, you start noticing your body change. Something wonderful begins to happen where before there was just trauma and pain. You start shedding that inflammation. You start shedding that trauma. You start shedding that pain, that overwhelm. And you start finding a new buoyancy that wasn't there before. Some of my clients have started talking about this, where they feel that light in their heads, behind their eyes, that buoyancy, that 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 youthfulness coming back. That's a little taste of what we experienced on Mount Sinai, where we were recreated without any of our traumas and our illnesses. We were recreated in our prime, and that's what we're aiming for. And as we each begin to taste a little bit of that. Now, I've only begun to taste a little bit of this over the past, I don't know, 30 something years. But it gets stronger and stronger. And there's a part of us that keeps coming more and more alive. And I don't know if you can sense this, Shifra.
Oh, yeah.
And that's undeniable. And that's what we are all going to be holding on to more than the traumas of the past, which, oh my goodness, I mean, we've each overdosed so much on that. Bring compassion to all of that. and ground in the goodness and start coming back alive. And that is how I see the prophecy of the dry bones.
Feel free to explain that real briefly, what the prophecy is.
Yeah. Well, Shifra Khana, can you explain the prophecy of the dry bones? No?
No.
Okay. How do you say Chezkel in English? Navi Chezkel.
Ezekiel.
The prophet Ezekiel prophesied that the dry bones will come back to life. And I believe that we are each one of those dry bones. And we're all being resuscitated. This is a process of Tchiyat HaMetim,
Revival of the dead.
Revival of the dead. We are each experiencing that on some level.
Wow.
And that's what I think is happening. And when I work with people,
you're right.
I work with people also about past life issues. And there really is a revival happening. Also, I don't know if you noticed, but since 1967, and those who understand what that year means will know what I'm talking about, we see an explosion of near-death experiences. I think it was Shmuley Spiro from Cleveland, Ohio, who spoke about this many, many years ago. He said that he's seen a tremendous explosion since 1967 because we are all learning about coming back to life.
Wow.
We're all learning about bringing heaven down to earth. And we're all going to experience it. And it'll be more profound than any of the traumas that we've been needing to embrace with understanding. And we can't neglect either of those aspects. We can't neglect embracing what we've been through, and while at the same time we come back to life. And that'll be an undeniable experience. No one will be able to say, hey, there's no God. Hey, there's no human. Let's just become ETs. Let's just all become cyborgs.
Cyborg, yeah.
Cyborgs.
We will know. Hive.
We will know the difference between being alive and being a machine. That's what we're all going to learn on a very deep, profound level. And then no AI will be able to overcome us because we have the spirit and we are alive, and we're going to all learn what that means. So I invite you to join me on that journey.
We'll talk about the program a little bit. Talk about the program a little bit, and also whatever it is that you're doing, in and out throughout the session. I don't know if you want to, if that's like trade secret.
Yeah, a trade secret. I don't have any trade secrets. That's why I teach. I teach because I don't have any secrets.
There's obviously, I don't know how many people here are energy sensitive, but I'm used to HAYA'S energy, but something's happening. It's like,
and it's different, isn't it? Isn't it different?
It's different. Yeah, it's different. It's very cool.
Before I was coming with a lot of compassion. That was my forte until now. But now there's something about the rebirth and the coming back alive, and they'll come back to the grounding cord. That's what it is. It's grounding in life, choosing life on that visceral level that I teach. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just choosing life, and I'm connecting to life, to God.
I get what you're doing. But she doesn't mean she's choosing life like an idea. She means she's stepping into that. She's stepping into that flow that Kabbalah calls Chachma Ilah, the supernal divine wisdom. That's the source of creation. That's the life force of the universe.
Precisely.
When you step out of, in my most recent huge shift, which I talked to you about like a month ago, I felt that. I felt like the reality of my own being, and that such a profound being here, and no story, no story, no identity, no blocks, no triggers. We go in phases. I just want to say, it's like, it's like when you dig a tunnel. Imagine if you were in a dungeon, you're digging your way out, and every night, when the guards are sleeping, you're digging, and every shovelful of dirt looks the same. And the farther you get in, it's like more dirt, more dirt, more dirt. I see no light. And then all of a sudden, you see one little sliver of light, and you could think, with everything I've done, it took me this long to get a sliver. Like, how am I ever going to get enough space to get out of here? But it doesn't work like that, because once you get that first sliver of light, you're right at the end. And now it's like almost nothing to push the rest of the dirt out of the way. The opening is here.
Oh,
it's amazing.
Is everybody shivering with this one? Is everybody shivering with this light, this emergence out of the tunnel? I am. I'm shivering, Shifra.
So what happens in the course? How long is your course? Starts on Sunday. I will be posting. What will I be doing? Let's post a link in the chat. What is the link?
Okay. Let me find the link if I can. I can't find anything from here.
Okay, so you know what? I'm going to be sending out an email. I don't want to say. You know what you can do? You can. Okay, let me say this first. If you're not on my YouTube, subscribe, hit notifications if you want to. Share with other people. Then you'll know when I'm going live. Also, if you want to stay connected, go to my Telegram group. All these links are underneath the video, and just join the Telegram group. There's the beginning of a community there.
We have to find a way to put this link in. We have to do that. How do we do
it? You could WhatsApp it to. Oh, do you see the private chat? Do you see anything on the screen?
Yeah, but I don't know how to get out of this realm to find. Oh, here we go. I found something. Okay, 1 second.
Okay, so while Chaya's figuring it out, I want to say, I see several of you saying, like, maybe this is my new purpose, maybe this is my new place, my kids left the house, I'm feeling lonely, whatever it is. I want to tell you that this is the project that we're working on. It's called Keter, Keter.
I don't know if this is coming in. Oh.
So you put the name, Course Divine Integration.
No, that's not it. That's not it. That's not the link. Sorry, guys.
Maybe I can get it.
Do this. Yeah,
Hang on.
You get it? How do I take this down?
Let me see if I can get it. Don't worry about it. That's a private anyway. No one sees it.
Okay.
I have to find. I'm on the summit page now, because the link is on the summit page. So let me see if I can copy it.
Good idea.
Into the chat.
You guys, this is so much fun.
Anyway, I just want to tell you, can I even copy it into the chat? Yes.
Do you guys feel more alive? I can't see the chat, so I can't see you answering me, but I can.
Well, they're all saying that. Yeah, thumbs up. I feel so much better. I was hopeless. Now I feel like a new. So people are saying that. I wanted to read everything, but there are too many comments. It's, nobody needs me to sit and read everything.
Can you copy them, or will they show up on the stream?
They will. Will they show up? They'll probably show up in the platform. Like most people are on YouTube, but there could be people on Twitter or Facebook. Twitter. So I don't know. They'll show up where they came from.
I am on Facebook.
Yeah, Hashem is definitely bringing us together. Clearly, a lot of people here were born into non-Jewish families. This is, by the way, you guys it never ceases to stun me, because looking at you, I'm looking at prophecy coming alive, because this is prophecy that at the end of days, which is really just the beginning of days, the end of the old bad old days and the beginning of the incredible new era. I think everyone agrees on that. So there will be a search, a hunger and thirst for God, and people will come to the Torah. And you should just know that if not everybody's welcoming you yet, it's just because some of your fellow religionists sort of tortured us and hurt us for too long. But you know what? I'm not like, as soon as people realize you're sincere and you're for real and they get used to it, I'm used to it. Everybody is going to be so, so happy and grateful to be united as one humanity. So the Keter project, the slogan is one creator, one humanity, one world. And that's really where we're all going. Yeah. So everybody who wants to be part of something and wants a new purpose, first of all, subscribe, show up at the live stream. Second of all, join HAYA'S course. It's how many sessions is it?
It's 4 sessions. each one 2
Okay.
hours on through Zoom, starting this Sunday. This
And what
Sunday in
will
the
people walk away with besides an amazing
Sunday
experience? What will they
Sunday
know?
morning, Sunday morning, this Sunday, 3rd of April, and in the morning in Eastern time. I think it's 11 o'clock in the morning, but I'm not sure. Check it out. Did you put up the
Yes, or
link?
the link. Mhm.
Fantastic,
Okay,
fantastic.
so
Thank you.
also the another thing to do is if you're not on my email list, go to gateofunity.com and join, just sign up for the 7 Kabbalah Secrets. That's how you can input your email and you'll be on my list. And then I will
Oh,
be
it's wonderful.
emailing the link for HAYA'S course in a day or two, just to make sure everybody gets a chance to see it. And these are ways not only to stay in touch, but with me, but to stay in touch with each other, to stay in touch with yourself. And as things move forward, if the Keter project moves forward, I'm waiting to see, we're doing the initial work, see if God blesses it. And if it
Amen.
flows,
Amen.
and then we're going to have work for everybody. Everybody's going to have the opportunity to step into their purpose and their leadership and share with the big world. So each in your own individual way, even if it's just, a graphic or a meme or a little video that you created or, whatever. It's very ambitious and you can't bite off too much at one time. And I do know that sometimes the doors are open and sometimes they're closed. So I'm very sensitive to that. I don't like to push against the flow because it just wears me out. So, but I'm going to push, I'm intending to push it with, I have a few people that are very serious working with me and we're going to get our mission statement and all of that done and then call a meeting. So I hope you'll come to that, but you won't know about the meeting if you're not subscribed to my YouTube, on my Telegram and on my email list. So if you're, resonating with us, which I assume you are based on your comments and the fact that you're still here, like this video, comment, even if it's a short comment, it raises the visibility. They show it literally to more people. Share, sign up for my email list at the Gate of Unity, gateofunity.com. The Telegram group, the link is under, all these links are under the video. And
Wonderful.
in the YouTube.
Wonderful.
Check out HAYA'S course. I will be mailing to people on my email list about it in either tomorrow or the next day to make sure everybody
It's
knows.
highly affordable, by the way. The price is really reasonable, and so I wanted to make it accessible for almost everyone.
My brother is on my brother, hello brother, is
Hi.
on, says, I come from Facebook. Do you come from Facebook like originally, but McCoy? Or our mom used to say that she found him under a poison mushroom, was horrible. And he was the cutest ever. She thought it was funny. She told me that she bought me in the software store and our brother that we lost in the hardware store and our little brother under. Why would she say that? I hope it doesn't hurt your feelings. You're so nice. Anyway, our words do matter, even if we're being. I hope that what
They
they don't
really do
matter. But
matter.
I
They
just
really
said
do
that.
matter.
I never said that in public ever. But it's just
I feel I'm sending you a hug.
yeah. I mean, he was the fairy child under the poison mushroom. Like he was worth looking for. It's not that he's the poison mushroom. He was just there waiting to be rescued by the fairy, by the fairy
Right.
people.
Or maybe he's the rescuer too.
Maybe. Okay, I'm so excited. Finally, Hashem knows I've been yearning for this for 20 years. So I hope you're doing what I'm suggesting. I just gave you four coaching suggestions. Join the list, sign up for the list at gateofbeauty.com, join the Telegram group, link under this video, sign up for YouTube, subscribe to my YouTube, sign up for notifications, and check out HAYA'S course, which is, let me see if I can copy it again. Yep, which is right here. The poison mushroom was protecting him. That's right. It was protecting him. It scarred me. Maybe not. Anyway, all scars have the potential to be our deepest power, right? You know
That's
that.
right. What I was trying to say earlier is that when we do healing on these scars, they become, as you said, the source of the greatest light.
It's so
The
true.
source of the greatest light.
Are we gonna? I for a while when I was journaling a while back, I wrote down a phrase. I haven't thought of it for a long time, but sometimes things come to me. So it was like, am I going to be the victim of my story or the hero of my story? So I'll just ask that to everyone. Yeah, it's powerful, right? And it's really the bottom line. It's the question: am I going to be the victim of my story or the hero of my story? That's what the Torah is all about. That's what these times are all about. That's what everything is about.
Wow, that's the mushroom.
Yeah. And it's a stance. It's like so many things, you can choose it or you cannot choose it. And that's where the paths will diverge and the experience that people have will diverge on
That's
which
right.
we choose. Okay, you guys have been amazing to hang with us for so long. It was so much fun. I'll go for hero. Yay! That's my brother.
Yay, yay, yay. What a
Okay.
great brother you
A
have.
rope
What a
broken
great
and
brother.
retied is stronger. Yeah, that's what it says in the Tanya. 100%. Rebecca was found hanging behind a door in the bargain basement. I'm glad they found you. We'll move you up to the evening gown section. Okay, guys.
Exactly.
So hopefully I will see you tomorrow. And feel free to keep the comments coming. I get notifications. They stay under the YouTube or wherever you're commenting. And I hope to see you in the Telegram community that will grow, and in the Keter project. Hopefully that will be blessed. And
Get
where
the
we are one
project.
soul
Get the
tribe. We are one soul
project.
tribe, and we're going to make it happen. Okay, last words, Chaya, before we discontinue. All these patient
May
people.
Hashem bless you all. May Hashem bless each and every one of you with a splendid life giving, life imbibing hero's journey. A
Amen.
fun one. From
Fun
now on,
one. Fun one.
your hero's journey becomes fun. That's what I want to leave you with.
Yeah.
And watch it
Amen.
happen. Watch it unfold. Watch it unfold.
That's what I want. Okay, that's what I'm going to stand for. Okay, everybody.